The night was colder than usual, the kind that crept under jackets and settled deep in the bones. Ethan Carter pulled his scarf tighter, hurrying down the empty alley behind the old warehouse district. The city's main streets were alive with honking cars and distant chatter, but here the world was quiet, almost too quiet. A thick fog curled around rusting dumpsters and broken crates, swallowing the feeble glow of the streetlights. Then he heard it. A sound so faint it might have been the wind, except the wind didn't whimper. Ethan stopped. His fingers twitched at his side, an old reflex from years of waiting for the perfect shot. As a wildlife photographer, he had learned that sometimes the world offered up mysteries, and it was his job to capture them. But this wasn't the wild. This was the backstreets of the city, and that sound, so small, so fragile, did not belong here. Another whimper. His boots scraped against wet pavement as he moved toward the nearest dumpster. The metal was slick with grime, its lid slightly ajar. He hesitated. The alley smelled of rotting food and damp cardboard, but underneath it was something else. A raw, earthy scent, like damp fur. Carefully, he lifted the lid. Two eyes stared up at him, reflecting the dim streetlight in an unsettling way. Ethan sucked in a breath. Nestled between crumpled fast food wrappers and torn plastic bags was something small, curled up tight, its thin body trembling. He reached down instinctively, and the creature flinched. "It's okay," he murmured, softening his voice. "I'm not going to hurt you." He scooped it up gently. The little body was light, almost weightless, and unnervingly cold. As he pulled it closer, the first thing he noticed was its fur, or rather, the lack of it. The short, silvery strands covering its body were too fine, too smooth, and beneath them, the skin felt strangely delicate, as if it were thinner than it should be. It looked like a puppy, small, frail, barely a few days old. But something about it was wrong. Its paws were slightly elongated, the pads softer than any dog's he had ever seen. Its ears, folded tightly against its skull, flicked at his touch like they were processing more than just sound. And its eyes, too large for its tiny face, held an unsettling brightness, as if they weren't just reflecting light but generating it. A weak whimper escaped its throat, but the sound wasn't quite right. It was too high, almost like the faint cry of a human infant. Ethan exhaled sharply. What the hell was this thing? His first instinct was to take it to the nearest vet, but something told him that wasn't an option. Not yet. Whatever this was, it had been left here, discarded like trash. And if someone had gone through the trouble of throwing it away, there was a chance they might come back to finish the job. Holding the trembling creature against his chest, he turned and walked quickly out of the alley, his mind racing. By the time he reached his apartment, his pulse had steadied, but his unease had not. His golden retriever, Jasper, greeted him at the door with his usual enthusiasm, tail wagging and tongue lolling. But the moment Ethan stepped inside, Jasper froze. The dog's ears pinned back. His tail lowered. A low growl, deep and guttural, rumbled from his chest. Ethan frowned. "Hey, what's wrong?" Jasper wasn't looking at him. He was staring at the bundle in Ethan's arms, his entire body tense. Then, without warning, he backed away, his nails scraping against the hardwood floor as he slunk toward the hallway. Ethan's stomach knotted. Jasper was the friendliest dog he had ever owned, curious about everything, afraid of nothing. For him to react this way? It wasn't just fear. It was instinct. He swallowed hard and carried the tiny creature into the kitchen, setting it down gently on a folded towel. It didn't move much, just shivered slightly, its chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. Up close, he noticed something else. Faint markings along its skin, barely visible under the dim kitchen light. Not natural spots or blemishes, but lines. Thin, symmetrical, almost like patterns. Ethan shook his head. He was tired. Overthinking. It was probably just some exotic breed, something rare and delicate. That had to be it. Still, a deep part of him, the part that had spent years tracking rare wildlife, told him otherwise. Jasper whined from the hallway, still refusing to come closer. Ethan exhaled and reached for his phone. Maybe the vet would have some answers. Just as he unlocked the screen, the creature stirred. A soft noise, almost like static, hummed in the air. And then, for the first time, its eyes blinked fully open. Ethan's breath caught. They weren't just reflecting the light. They were glowing. Ethan's heart pounded as he stared into the creature's eyes. They weren't the cloudy blue of a newborn pup, nor the deep brown or amber of any dog he'd ever seen. They shimmered, a shifting, pulsating silver, as though tiny currents of light flowed beneath the surface. His fingers hovered above the screen of his phone, frozen. The logical part of him screamed to call a vet, a wildlife specialist, someone who could explain what he was looking at. But another part, the part that had spent years tracking elusive creatures through dense jungles and frozen tundras, whispered a different truth. This wasn't something ordinary. This wasn't something people were meant to find. The tiny being let out another sound, soft, wavering, not quite a whimper. More like a signal. The static-like hum from earlier returned, but this time, Ethan felt it in his bones, a faint vibration just beneath his skin. Jasper whined again from the doorway, his body stiff, his tail pressed between his legs. His golden fur bristled, but he didn't bark. He didn't move at all, as if the instincts bred into his ancestors for thousands of years had taken over, warning him that whatever was in Ethan's kitchen was wrong. Ethan swallowed hard and forced himself to move. Carefully, he reached for a clean cloth, wrapping the creature gently, keeping its fragile body warm. It was still shivering, though whether from cold or something else, he couldn't tell. His phone buzzed in his other hand, an incoming call. Daniel Marsh. Ethan hesitated, then answered. Yeah. Where the hell are you, man? Daniel's voice crackled through the speaker. You were supposed to meet me at the station an hour ago. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut. Right. The station. Daniel, an old friend from his college days, worked as an investigative journalist. They had planned to meet up, swap stories, maybe even collaborate on a piece about illegal wildlife trafficking, something they both suspected was growing worse in the city's underground circles. But Ethan's mind was nowhere near their meeting now. Something came up, he said, his voice lower than he intended. There was a pause on the other end. Then, what kind of something? Ethan hesitated. If anyone could help him make sense of this, it was Daniel. I found something, he admitted. Something strange. Daniel chuckled. Ethan, you find strange things for a living. No. Not like this. Another pause. A longer one. All right, Daniel said slowly. I'm coming over. Ethan wanted to protest, but deep down, he knew he needed another pair of eyes on this. Fine, he said. But come alone. He ended the call and looked back at the small bundle on the counter. The glow in the creature's eyes had dimmed slightly, but it was still there, a faint pulse of silver beneath its delicate lids. He had the uneasy feeling that whatever he had just pulled from that dumpster, it wasn't supposed to be found. 15 minutes later, Daniel arrived, his usual confident stride faltering the moment he stepped inside and saw Jasper cowering near the hallway. What the hell did you bring home? He muttered, kicking the door shut behind him. Ethan didn't answer. He just motioned for Daniel to follow him into the kitchen. When Daniel laid eyes on the creature, his expression shifted from curiosity to something else, something darker. Jesus, he breathed, leaning in. That's not a dog. Ethan exhaled sharply. Yeah. No kidding. Daniel crouched, studying the tiny being with the same meticulous scrutiny he used when analyzing crime scene photos. His fingers hovered just above its skin, not quite touching. Where did you find it? In a dumpster. Someone threw it away. Daniel's jaw tightened. Then someone wanted it gone. Badly. Ethan watched his friend's expression carefully. You've seen something like this before. Daniel hesitated. Not exactly. Ethan's stomach twisted. But you know something. Daniel finally looked up, his dark eyes serious. There've been rumors, he admitted. Strange animal sightings. People claiming they saw creatures that don't exist, things that vanish before anyone can get a good look. And then there's the trafficking rings. Ethan frowned. Exotic animals? Not just exotic. Daniel straightened, rubbing a hand over his jaw. Unregistered. No records. No species classification. Things that don't belong anywhere. Ethan glanced down at the fragile being wrapped in the cloth. It was breathing steadily now, its tiny chest rising and falling in an unnatural rhythm, too precise, almost mechanical. I need to know what this is, Ethan murmured. Daniel nodded. Then we need to be careful. If someone dumped it, they might come looking for it. As if on cue, Jasper let out a sharp bark from the other room. Low, urgent warning. A second later, there was a knock at the door. Not a friendly one. Hard. Measured. Ethan and Daniel locked eyes. Whoever was outside wasn't here by accident. Jasper's low growl sent a ripple of tension through the room. Ethan's muscles coiled instinctively, his breath stilling. The knock came again, deliberate, forceful. Whoever was outside wasn't just some lost traveler looking for directions. Daniel moved first, stepping toward the door, but Ethan caught his wrist. Wait. Daniel glanced back, but Ethan shook his head. Something felt wrong. Instead of answering, Ethan reached for his phone and quickly pulled up his security camera feed. The grainy black and white image flickered to life, showing a figure standing just beyond the porch light's reach. They were dressed in dark clothing, their face obscured by the shadow of a hood. No movement. No fidgeting. Just waiting. Ethan's pulse hammered. Who the hell? Daniel started, but Ethan raised a finger to his lips. Then, just as suddenly as they had knocked, the figure turned and walked away. No hesitation. No frustration. Just a calm retreat into the darkness beyond the street. Daniel let out a breath. Okay, that was creepy. Ethan barely heard him. His gut twisted in warning. Whoever that was, they weren't here by chance. They knew. Knew about the creature. Knew Ethan had it. And now they knew where to come back. He turned sharply, his mind shifting into action. We can't stay here. Daniel raised an eyebrow. You want to run? I want to survive, Ethan shot back. Jasper barked again, pacing near the hallway. His ears flicked toward the window, his body tense. He could sense it too, the danger looming just outside their walls. Ethan grabbed a backpack from the kitchen chair and started shoving essentials inside. First aid kit, flashlight, extra batteries, his hunting knife, a spare gun, enough supplies to disappear if necessary. Daniel folded his arms. Okay, I'll bite. Let's say that wasn't just some random creep. What exactly are we running from? Ethan didn't answer right away. Instead, he turned to the kitchen counter, where the small creature lay wrapped in cloth. It was sleeping now, but its chest still rose and fell with that unsettling mechanical precision. He gestured toward it. That. Daniel sighed. Look, I get it. It's weird. Maybe even one of those black market genetic hybrid. But that doesn't mean people are hunting us. Ethan clenched his jaw. You don't get it, Daniel. I found it in a dumpster. Someone threw it away like garbage. But now, suddenly, someone is here. Looking for something. Daniel hesitated. The timing was too perfect. Jasper let out another warning growl, this time directed at the back door. A chill ran down Ethan's spine. The front wasn't the only entrance. He grabbed his gun and motioned for Daniel to follow. Moving silently, they crept toward the back of the house, where a set of glass doors led to the yard. The porch light flickered, casting eerie shadows across the grass. And then Ethan saw it. A second figure, standing just beyond the tree line. Not moving, not breathing, just watching. Ethan's grip tightened on his weapon. We leave. Now. Daniel, for once, didn't argue. They moved fast. Ethan wrapped the creature in a thick blanket, securing it in his arms as they rushed toward the garage. Jasper followed, his tail low, his ears pinned back. The moment Ethan hit the garage door opener, the power went out. Total darkness. A sharp inhale from Daniel. A click. Not from them. From outside. A car door unlocking. Ethan's heart slammed against his ribs. They weren't just being watched. They were being hunted. Daniel cursed under his breath. They cut the power. Ethan nodded, his mind racing. They needed an escape route fast. The creature stirred in his arms, letting out another soft, static-laced sound. Ethan felt it again, that vibration beneath his skin. Like a signal reaching out, searching for something. Or someone. And then, a burst of light. Not from the house. From the creature. A pulse of energy rippled outward, illuminating the garage in a silver-blue glow. Ethan and Daniel shielded their eyes as Jasper let out a startled bark. The figures outside reacted. They flinched, stepped back. For the first time, Ethan felt the shift. They weren't in control of this situation. He was. And whatever he had just rescued, it wasn't just unusual. It was powerful. Daniel, blinking away the light, whispered, "What the hell did you just pick up?" Ethan exhaled, his grip tightening around the small, glowing being. "I don't know," he admitted. "But I think we're about to find out." The air crackled with residual energy as the eerie blue glow faded, plunging the garage back into darkness. Ethan's pulse thundered in his ears. The figures outside had hesitated, but that hesitation wouldn't last. Whoever they were, they knew what the creature was. And now they knew he had it. Daniel barely breathed beside him, his fingers clenched into fists. "Tell me we have a plan." Ethan tightened his grip around the tiny being swaddled in the blanket. It felt impossibly warm now, its small form radiating something more than just body heat, something alive, pulsing, waiting. Jasper let out a low whimper. He could sense it too. The night was no longer just dark. It was listening. Then, movement. Outside. A subtle shift of weight on gravel. A hushed voice whispering something unintelligible. The faint metallic sound of a weapon being drawn. Ethan's instincts screamed. He bolted. Yanking open the side door of the garage, he charged into the night with Daniel right behind him. Jasper, ever loyal, darted beside them, his paws silent against the ground. They needed cover. Now. The old truck. It sat at the edge of the driveway, a relic of Ethan's past life before everything had unraveled. He hadn't driven it in years, but if luck was on their side. Gunfire erupted. A sharp burst split the night, striking the garage door behind them. The sound ricocheted, sending Daniel ducking instinctively. "Move, move!" Ethan snarled, gripping the bundle in his arms as they lunged toward the truck. Another shot. Closer. Jasper barked wildly, his instincts flaring. Ethan reached the truck first, yanking the door open with a rusted screech. He shoved the creature into Daniel's arms and dove inside, hands fumbling under the dashboard. The keys. "Please still be here." His fingers met cold metal. "Got it." Another shot rang out, sparking against the truck's rear bumper. Daniel swore. "They're closing in." Ethan jammed the key into the ignition, prayed, turned it. The engine coughed, stuttered, died. His stomach dropped. Jasper growled, his gaze locked onto the shadows approaching from the tree-line. Another turn. "Come on. Come on." The truck sputtered, then roared to life. Ethan didn't hesitate. He slammed his foot on the gas. The truck lurched forward, tires kicking up gravel as it tore down the narrow road leading away from the house. A flash of movement in the side mirror, a figure breaking into a sprint after them. Then, suddenly, a bright blue pulse erupted behind them. The air split with a concussive boom. Ethan's ears rang as the entire landscape behind them was illuminated for a fraction of a second. Trees swayed violently. A shock wave rattled the truck's frame. Then, silence. Ethan's knuckles were white on the wheel. He didn't dare slow down. Daniel, breathing hard, unwrapped the creature just enough to look at it. His voice was barely above a whisper. Did it do that?" Ethan swallowed hard. "I think so." The thing nestled deeper into the blankets, its small chest rising and falling steadily. As if nothing had happened. Ethan's mind raced. What was it? Why did they want it so badly? And more importantly, what the hell had he just gotten himself into? Jasper whined, pressing himself closer to Ethan's side. Daniel exhaled sharply. All right, he muttered. I've officially decided I hate mysteries. Ethan didn't respond. His grip on the wheel tightened as the truck sped into the night, leaving behind the smoldering wreckage of the life he once knew. Whatever happened next, one thing was clear. This was just the beginning.